Hey Gemini, Happy New Year, and I hope you guys are doing great. We are here to do your forecast for 2022. See what big things that you might need to keep your eye out for. So let's jump right into it, Gemini, and see what we have for you. Let's see. Okay, interesting. So the only charm that was, or the only bone that was left in the basket is the stingray barb, but it's pointed outward, which usually signifies that you were on the right track for something. So we'll see if that comes back up in your reading, but let's see what we have for you for 2022. What do we have for my Gemini collective for 2022? All right, so interesting things happening with you guys right now. So what we're going to do is start with your charm. We have the little worry doll, and this represents you in this reading. So what we have for you, which is kind of nice, surrounding you, we have a lot of love. We have a lot of affection. We have happiness. We have you landing on your feet. Even though things may be a little bit chaotic when it comes to work or school, if you are doing either one of those things, it may be a little bumpy throughout the year, but you're getting through it. You are absolutely protected, and you are doing it so gracefully. It feels as though you have this little extra spring in your step, and it makes things a lot easier to sort of navigate for you going forward. So I wouldn't worry too much about what we see in terms of, any sort of rocky moments in your job. You're going to get through it, and you do have a lot of protection around you. You have people who are caring about you. And if you can see right here, we have the skull that represents your ancestors. And so that skull was kind of looking in this direction as well. It's interesting. It feels like they're looking at two separate and distinct clusters, but when the ancestor is sort of facing into one of your sections, it means that you're being watched over, that you have their protection, you have their backing, which is amazing. It's a good thing. So going next to the starter piece that we have in this reading, this is the Moldavite pendant. This is kind of interesting because we have it surrounding a few things, right? We have transformation, we have the cork, which means stop, we have friendships, and we have 5 on the dice, which can signify 5 weeks or 5 months. So what we're seeing here also that seems to be a major theme for the year is that there are going to be some changes when it comes to your friendships. And I feel like this is going to happen within the next 5 weeks or the next 5 months, is that you might come to the place where you realize that you're out of alignment with some of the people that you may have in your life. And you may decide to make some changes when it comes to these people. This may mean you distancing yourself or having a conversation with them, having a little bit of a come to Jesus moment. But I do see this sort of happening going into the summertime. We have that 5 months from the beginning of the year. So that'll put you at around May going into June. So expect that sometime around then, you're going to see a little bit of a shift in your friend circle. Now, going here to the hematite bracelet, which signifies some very important things that you should sort of keep your eye on. What we have here for you is the marble. We have fall, and we also have money. And on the outside, we have the charm for winter. We have the garbone, which represents a not so nice person, and then next to that we have the horseshoe and the 4-leaf clover. We also have on the outside the the Moldavite ring, which also signifies something that's important that you need to pay attention to. So it feels like between the fall and the winter, there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room for you to sort of play. And it feels like finances are sort of involved in this. With the penny that we have here, heads up, these are sort of your day-to-day, sort of luxury, frivolous kind of expenses. It feels like there's going to be a little bit more room for you to play in the colder months. That might be a direct result of what we have here with the wishbone and the four-leaf clover on the inside of it. But keep an eye out for someone who is resentful of the sort of abundance that you have, or the things that you're able to do with your finances. This does not feel like someone who is sort of holding themselves back. I just got this vision in my head of someone who's like going to Vegas and they sit down at the table and they're like all in. So it feels like from a financial perspective in the fall and into the winter, you're going to be in a place of all in. Like it feels like you're going to be in a place of utter and complete abundance. And there are going to be some people around you who are resentful. And we have here the button, which sort of ties two clusters together. And what we have this button attaching you to is the octopus tentacle. This is a feeling of being held back. This is a feeling of being bound by something or getting sucked in. So I feel like there's a little bit of a caution here that in the colder months, in the fall and in the winter, be very circumspect about the people that you have around you. Don't allow them to suck you into their narrative. It feels like this is a good time for you to have fun, to enjoy life, to blow a little bit of cash. Now listen, if your lights are about to be turned off, please ignore this. Like, be responsible. But I do feel like there are good things that are coming towards you that are going to allow you to experience some of the nicer things in life, some of the little odds and ends that you've been looking at, that you've been wanting. But be careful of people who might be resentful of what you're able to do. Now, going over to, oh my God, you have so many sections. It's amazing. So let's look over here. And this is really representative of something in your life that needs to be cleaned up. This is something that has been a work in progress for quite some time. Now, this is very much a solo endeavor. There's nothing, I think, that anybody else is sort of a part of this. It feels as though there's a section of your life that you are going to be cleaning up that is going to take some diligence. So this could be anything from you sort of cleaning up your credit. You try to get it from like that 500 up to that 700. But this is something that has been sort of a slow build. This is not something that happens quickly. This is something that you have been moving forward on very cautiously. So there's a thought here that you need to continue moving in silence, that you need to, again, be very cautious of who you share your plans with, who you share updates with, who you bring into the work that it is that you're doing. And I think that this is reflected here when we talked about your friendships, and also here in looking at people who may not necessarily be happy about the path that you're on. So now moving down here to this other rather large cluster that we have, and one sort of went off screen. We'll just move that up in place. I don't think you can quite see that, but this is the Buckeye seed, and it really talks about your health. All right, looking at home and hearth. There's something happening with you right now, Aquarius, where what's a good way of, I'm sorry, did I just say Aquarius? That's not at all what I intended to say. Gemini, this is for you. So this part is I want to say it's concerning me a smidgen. This is your home and hearth space. And what we see this sort of happening around the springtime, there feels like a stroke of luck that's coming towards you, but I almost feel as though you are very concerned about what it means for the relationships with the people that you have in your life. And that might be tied to this stroke of good luck that comes into your sort of everyday finances. But in the springtime, there is going to be a sort of shift in what your home life looks like. This is you sort of feeling yourself in not at all in a bad way, but there may be some childish energy that comes into your space because of it. And I'm going to go out on this limb and say this for some of you Geminis out there. If you do not want children, this might be a real good time to explore some alternative, like some options for prevention. Because we're seeing in the springtime, you're kind of feeling yourself. You're not really looking for necessarily anything long term. It's like you may be exploring your sexuality and, seeing what this here world has to offer. But this is something that you're not going into blindly. This is something that you were doing very intentionally, very willingly. And it feels like you're going to have a good time. You're going to make a lot of connections with a lot of people. I'm not saying that they're going to stay in your life forever, but you are going to get out there. But if you don't want to bring a little bambino or bambina back, is that a anyway, yep. Make sure that you protect yourself. Make sure that you stay safe. Okay? That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. We do see, a bit of protection around that. That's sort of directly linked to this little cluster of you getting out and enjoying yourself in this here big world. So, again, making sure that you protect yourself, making sure that you stay safe in whatever way that's meaningful for you. Now, looking at this little section that we have right here, and I'll move this up just a smidgen so you can actually see it. We have the buckeye nut and we also have the muskrat teeth. So the buckeye nut we have on the side and the muskrat teeth we have sort of upside down. This is all about communication. So, and communication not being the greatest. So when it comes to your health, it feels like there is a need for there to be a lot of clarity on both sides between you and your provider. Don't hold back anything. If you feel like one strand of hair on your head was tingling a little bit, make sure that you communicate that to your healthcare provider. This is sort of the time to be open. So make sure that you are very clear in your communication to them, and make sure that you ask as many questions as you need to make sure that you are 100% clear on what they're telling you as well. It feels as though when it comes to your health, there is a big risk for miscommunication. So make sure that you communicate as effectively as possible when it comes to you advocating for your own health. So going to the last couple of clusters that we have for you, we have family and we also have the scales. So it feels like when it comes to your family life at some point this year, there's going to be a determination that's going to be made. There's going to be sort of a final judgment, maybe a resolution to an issue that you were experiencing with somebody before. But either way, this is going to be something that's going to be put to rest. And again, we have your ancestor, the skull, looking in this direction, right? It was looking sort of over this protective energy, and it's also looking over this familial determination that's going to be made. So keep an eye out for that. And looking at your last little cluster we have here for you, This is all about your long-term finances. We have the big coin head side up, and we also have your spirit guides that are right next to it and looking directly at it. This is something that might take place in the summertime. There's going to have to be a little bit of flexibility we have here with the snake vertebrae. So this might be a change in your long-term planning. This might be an opportunity that's coming up, but around the summertime, make sure to pay attention to anything that has the potential to impact your longer term finances. It could turn out to be a very good opportunity because we have your spirit guides looking right at it. Like, yes, 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 ancestor, get money, get money. So that's sort of what we have for you, Gemini. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. Let me know, but in the meanwhile, stay safe, stay healthy, and I am sending you all huge hugs.